What's up, dudes? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be filming the final episode for steering on the truck, and we're actually going to be driving it. We had a slight hiccup in the past few weeks here. One of the beam mounts on the truck, Christian here spotted that there's a pretty significant crack in it, and I'll show you that in a second. But we ended up having to remake a new mount, and that's what's been holding up this whole thing and why it hasn't gotten finished. So we've made that mount here. So this is the mount that was on the truck, and right there you can see that there is a pretty big crack in it, and it even spidered out on top right here and started going in between the bolt holes. So that is bad. Good thing Christian spotted that when he did. That could have ended up being a really bad failure. And then over here, here's what we upgraded to. So now this is all 1/4 inch plate, and there's no bends at all, so it's all welded flat pieces. And where it cracked before, which was right here, we ended up adding this little gusset, so it's gonna be a lot stronger. And then also, you probably noticed this tube sticking off. This goes over and ties in via a bolt hole to the frame, so that's gonna strengthen up this whole mount and keep it from moving around at all. And then it's also gonna strengthen up the cross member, the end for the motor as well. So everything's gonna get strengthened up with this mount, and we shouldn't have any potential failures with this one. At least we hope. Hopefully. We literally just finished up this beam mount, and it's drying a little bit still. We coated it in steel and black, so it should look pretty good. And then we also spotted a tiny little crack on the frame as well, so we cut that out, filled it back in with a weld, so that should be good to go now. We shouldn't have any issues there with that crack spreading. Since last video, we did get a few things done, and right now I'll just jump at some clips from the past so you guys can get caught up. So now hopefully you've seen those clips and you know that we've gotten that pitman arm nut on there and torqued to spec. We got all the hoses done, and Christian started filling up the system with fluid as well. And the way you do that is you just take off the cap on the reservoir here, start filling it up, and then you crack all the hoses as you go down. That way any air can just filter out of there. So he's done that, and this thing's technically been bleeding on its own for a few weeks now. And then now all the fittings are tight again, and we just have a few things that we need to get done. We have this diagram from Hal's website, as with all the other ones, and it's just a checklist that we've been going through on how to properly bleed the system. So once we get the beam mount back on there and the beam together, we can start bleeding the system even more. But first, we just got to get this thing back together. It's probably been a little bit since you guys have seen under the truck, but we just wrapped up getting this mount on there. Looks really good. Now you can see what I was saying by that tube going off to the frame, and then just a bolt going through where a previous rivet went through the frame. And we also went through, Loctited all the bolts, and then marked it with Viz Torque as well, so we can see if anything's coming loose. So we got all the beams back together, all the suspension is back on the truck, and now we're getting to where I was talking about earlier with the bleeding. So inside, just trying to use my phone here so you guys can see this, but up in here, actually this connector right here holds the fuel pump fuse, which we have taken out. Right there, that's that guy. And so that's disconnected, so we shouldn't have the fuel pump turning on when we go key on position. And then also up here, I've gone ahead, and rather than disconnecting the spark plug wires, I've just pulled the plugs on the individual coil packs, so that's all disconnected now. So when we go and crank this thing, we shouldn't have fuel or spark. So that's exactly what we want, and we'll crank this thing just to get the fluid flowing through. Christian just turned the key to the on position, didn't hear any fuel priming, which is perfect. So now he's just gonna bump it for 3 to 4 seconds, and then we're gonna see if the fluid level changes. All right, so it looks like it went down maybe just a smidge. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
It did?
Yeah, it did look like it went down just a little bit.
Let's do it again and just see what happens.
Yeah. No, it didn't look like it went down that time. Maybe it didn't the first. Maybe it was just the fluid shaking.
Let me do it again.
All right. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going down anymore. No bubbles or anything. So that's perfect. That's what we want. So let's move on to the next step. Oh, you ready? Oh, satisfying. So Christian already went ahead, put put the fuel pump fuse back in. So now we're gonna start this thing.
For the first time in like a month and a half.
No, it's since we started the steering. It's been like 2 months.
Oh yeah, it's been a while actually.
It's been like 2 months. So hopefully this thing fires right up. What you're supposed to do, like I said, is don't go to lock. Let it sit for 2 minutes just idling before you start slowly steering back and forth. All right, make her sing, brother. I'm gonna be watching for any sort of leaks down here. Make sure none of our hoses are leaking any fluid, and I'll just tell them to shut it off if that's the case. Yeah, go for it. Only go to 90. Don't go past 90. Maybe not even that far, just very slow. That first start went really well. We let it sit for 2 minutes, just checked for any leaks. Didn't see any, so that is perfect. I looked down into the reservoir and I could tell it was a little low, so I just ended up topping it off a little bit, and then after it ran a little bit more, the fluid did come up, so I didn't need to fill it as much as I did. But as Christian started to cycle it, I didn't see the fluid level change it at all, so that's a good sign that there's no air in the system. But you did see the foam and those bubbles on top of the fluid in the reservoir, so I think that was just fluid getting out of the system. So we've let it sit for 5 minutes to where that's gone now. Christian's going to start it again, cycle it, and if we see no bubbles this time, we can go ahead, throw the tires on, and go take this thing for a drive. Oh man. How is it?
It's like driving a normal truck now. Like you can just turn the thing, no problem on the street.
Yeah, before anything under like 10 miles an hour, this thing was absolutely not drivable at all. You could not steer. And now, just from the looks of it, I haven't felt it yet, it looks really good. Give her a few wiggles.
Like nothing, dude.
Is there any resistance at all?
No. Even stopped when I turned out of the driveway.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like you don't feel anything.
Perfect. Perfect. Already, it's like no resistance. It's pretty crazy. Steering wheel. Is the steering wheel off?
Yeah, it's off just a little bit.
It's off one click, I think.
Right, you up now?
Dude.
You're all dark. There you go.
This is weird.
Feels good, huh?
I've never driven the truck like this.
Feels like a normal truck now.
It's honestly, it's like better than a stock truck.
Well, I hope so.
Well, yeah, but like with the 39, it's better than a stock truck. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
So you have a bigger tire and house system, just like
the house system is 100% worth the money, all of it.
It completely changed the feel of this truck. I'm curious to see what it does in the dirt, though.
It's gonna feel light for sure.
I like in the whoops. I wonder how the feedback's gonna be. That's my main curiosity.
Yeah, it'll be easier to control, but you're gonna have to watch your movements for sure, because it'll upset. You will start upsetting the truck instead of the truck upsetting itself now.
True. And I remember one time when I was crossing into a different wash, I had to brake as I was getting ready to turn into it. When I braked, I could not steer at all.
And now I've done it going around corners on the brakes and turning, and it doesn't do anything. It's perfect. So
that's cool.
Steering is way better now. This dork's over here taking Instagram videos.
We just pulled the truck back in the garage. I'm sorry if we didn't get too many driving clips. This thing, we're not really comfortable driving it on the street yet. We just want to keep it low key and go around most of the neighborhood, not too far right now. So I hope you guys did enjoy some of the clips that we did get of it on the street, but I know you're itching for more, so we'll plan to do that in the future. But Christian, I mean, I know we already went through kind of our first thoughts when we were driving it, but for someone who's building one of these trucks and is having a hard time with steering, sort of how we were, how, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much would you recommend this?
Oh, this is like an 11. Like, seriously, like going from this truck before being not really streetable at all, where it couldn't turn really at all, this thing now is like, it's amazing. Like my brother was saying before, it literally feels better than like a stock truck, and this thing's on 39-inch tires.
Yeah.
So now that it's streetable, I don't know how much we're actually going to be driving it on the street, just because it is kind of a high-profile looking truck, and it's not the quietest.
Yeah, it's
thing,
still
really.
pretty loud. Like we have some big old Borlas on this thing, but the exhaust still is so short. It's not necessarily that it's loud, it's just that deep bass rumble that will really, that's what sets off all the car alarms and everything. It's not like high RPM just revving out. It's that deep,
and the
deep
truck
sound.
The truck, just look wise, it gets attention too, so it's definitely it's not the most underground looking truck.
Yeah. And I just want to take a moment and just give a huge thank you to the guys over at Howe, Jeff Howe, his family,
Jeff.
Everybody over there. Like, I couldn't recommend those guys enough. They're a family-owned business. A lot of shops that you'll deal with have like a big ego and like they don't really want to talk to you, but those dudes, they'll run you through it. They have a ton of knowledge and they're super down to earth, and it's a family business. So, you know, you got to support those guys, and they make an awesome product. Like, I cannot say enough good things about this product. So just a huge thank you to them and everything they've helped us with on this setup and answered all of our questions. Just a big thank you. One thing I just wanted to mention real quick regarding the channel, this is the last video for the steering series. I think it was what, four episodes or 5?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
This might be the 5th. But I do have plans for a new series that's going to be starting soon, and some other videos we have planned. We'll probably be doing a walk around on this thing soon, since now we can drive it on the street and take it somewhere.
Tint. No more of this bubbly purple looking stuff.
And then besides the video for the walk around on this, I also want to do a garage tour, since I know a lot of you guys were asking that. And right now it's sort of a mess. I want to spend some time this week and just get this thing nice. It's the start of summer for me. I literally finished class yesterday, so just get the garage styled so we can work out here comfortably and do a nice tour for you guys. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this whole series. Let me know what you think down below, and please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace!